how are we doing? We are live on YouTube right now. We got the lighting a little bit better. We got the cameras working great again. So everything is good to go. Getting everything all fixed. So we got even different scenes over here. But we'll see if anyone shows up. Let's see here. Quit and download. I'm gonna update R as we're doing this right here. So I'm looking down at this screen. No one's in the chat yet, so let's update R. Our studio has an update. Sure, why not update our studio? So it might be updating. Let's install R, download and install R. Okay, download R for Windows. I'm gonna have to put it on a new computer also. Let's just use the old R, why not? I'm using a new computer next week maybe, so it's kind of a moot point on whether I need R updated or not on this computer. Just use the old R, the one we've used a lot. Well, Stat 201 has an assignment, so if you're here for 201, we don't have anyone in here yet. Start of the semester, so things are going well. But Stat 201 has some upcoming assignments, so let's take a look at those. I think Pearson wants to know if I want to allow pop-ups. So, I haven't logged into Pearson in a while. Who's in the chat? There's bonus points to be had if you say hello or chat. Oh man, I'm gonna have to remember how to log into Pearson on the new computer. We've got here the statistics section 004. Let's start doing some chapter 1 homework. I'll tell everybody it's posted online. They've changed oh my gosh, it's all changed. I think they just changed it this week or something. Hey Lucas, good to see you here. What are you working on, Lucas? You can say whatever you're working on and we can get working on it because we have an assignment due tomorrow, chapter 1. So, hey Cameron, good to see you here. What assignments you working on? I was gonna pull up the chapter 01 homework and work on that. So, I know I'm blocking pop-ups. So if you want chapter 01 homework, let's do that one. Or if you have other ideas, we could do that. There's not that many questions to the homework. We're gonna remind me later. Ignore update. Sure, why not? Okay. How's the volume on this? Volume looks to be good on this right now. Maybe I'll go a little bit higher. There we go, a little bit higher volume. Good to go. Let's head over to the main screen and take a look right here and look at some of these questions and see which ones we get right and which ones we get wrong. So I'm gonna timestamp this in the video right here and let's go to the video. I low-key hate reading. How do you remember reading the book? Seriously, I low-key hate reading too. I would highly suggest just using the videos, the speedrun videos I think are great. So use the speedrun videos, come to class, read the slides. I'm not big on reading the book. It's a lot more words than you need. So that's Brian's personal opinions with Brian right there. So I would not read the book. I would watch the videos and yeah, then I would also read the slides. Love to hear it. Hey, say Haley. Can't seem to get the jump to open. Can you swing by in-person office hours? Also, I've met with a lot of people on Discord and we've got it working really quick. Here we're gonna go over to the first My Pearson homework. Let's check that out here on the main screen. Okay, so many grocery stores are trying to figure out things about their customers. It's saying I don't have access to this. I'm trying to make myself disappear. Many grocery stores try to figure out things about their customers and they have a card that they scan. And they offer discounts to people who use the card. To get the card, customers must give information including a mailing address, email address. The actual purpose is not to reward loyal customers, but to gather data. What do these cards allow stores to gather data on, and why would they want to gather this data? So with this right here, I'm gonna find where I'm at so I can disappear. I'll get that fixed up right after this question. Still getting the studio working 100%. So let's look at the first thing right here. Frequency with which customers make purchases at grocery stores. Do grocery stores care about that? What do people think in the chat? Yes or no? Do you think a grocery store would care about how often people make purchases at grocery stores? Oh, definitely. And Cameron, awesome job right there. Let's throw you some points. Remember, Mebot's here in the chat handing out points for all those answers. Identities of other stores at which customers shop. I think they can figure that out too, because especially they might ask you, do you shop here? Do you shop there? Do you shop at Walmart? You know, what other places do you buy things at? Time a customer spends at the grocery store. They might be able to figure that out. More recent stuff would be able to figure that out. Like you could kind of figure out how many trips they go a week. I'm a little worried about that checkbox, but watching us do this right here, you get to see the answers. Items of customer purchases, that's obvious. Amount of money, of course they can figure that out. And they always ask you where you live. So I'm a little worried about the time a customer spends at the grocery store. There probably is not that one. And that's why I get a little bit mad, because analytics, and they're not going to ask them where else they shop. Well, we can figure that out too. There we go. So here's the thing. Truthfully, in this day and age, we can figure out all those things with analytics. So when you think about what analytics can do, analytics can gather data on almost anything. A lot of credit card companies are selling your information. We're not supporting that or being against it. It's kind of, when you check a box saying you can share my information, they'll share your information and they'll sell it. So really, a lot of these things right here, especially with the cards, they might even ask you questions like, what other stores do you shop at? Or maybe the card could be used at other stores, so they could figure out if you're shopping, like maybe Kroger has a deal with Sam's Club, or, well, that'd be Walmart with Sam's Club, right? So there's a lot of ways this can go. And I'm always trying to remember this question, because I've done these questions like 50 times. You can watch 3 years of me doing these questions. I'm always like, well, you can kind of do those things. That's one of the great things about watching the homework right here, because you get to see the answers. But I don't know, if you put an RFID chip in the card, so I mean, maybe someone who wrote this question didn't think about that. Do you know what an RFID chip is? Like the near field chips? Do you know those cameras in the chat right there? Lucas, do you know what an RFID chip is? Like if they just had a near field sensor, then when you walk into the store, it could like register that the card's been walked into the store. And then when you scan it, they'd have a time of exit. So you could figure out how long people are in the store. Or it could be like a Sam's Club where you scan your card when you come in, and then you scan your card when you leave, and then you would know how long a person was in the store. So all these things are theoretically possible, just depending on how you set up your system. Once again, we said identities. Isn't that what Apple Pay does? Probably. That's why I always get a little bit mad at a question or two. And I'll say this, and this is a good question to start on. If you ever feel like the question was unfair or didn't give you your points, email me. I'm gonna drop my email in the chat right now. If anyone's like, what? You got the first question of the semester wrong? I do it for an example or for fun. No, I was like, how's this question go again? But email me at bstevens@utk.edu and be like, hey, Brian, I thought this question was unfair. I thought it showed points. I interpreted it this way. Lots of ways these questions can be interpreted. And let's look at the next one, because this is more just like, why do we use statistics right here? And we wouldn't write test questions like this. And you can always debate a test question too. What are some reasons why grocery chains might want this data? I mean, you can think of endless reasons. To have higher sales, to make people buy more items, to increase customer loyalty. Most profitable locations for new grocery stores, definitely. Where to open stores. To determine how to best market and advertise to different customers. Yep, selling more stuff. To analyze difference of price changes. Yeah, do people stop buying things if we change the price? To evidence of shoplifting. Now, I do think that one's possible. I do think you could figure out if someone's shoplifting. Maybe I'm going off the screen right there, so I don't know. I just lost its connection. We'll fix that, like I said, after this question. I think you could figure out evidence of shoplifting, especially with cameras and all these different things. Is the card really going to do it? I don't know. Doesn't really seem possible. There's always a way, though. Card's probably not the best way, so let's check these, and we got it right. So shoplifting is really the only thing you wouldn't really analyze with a card. I guess you could track it with the card and put if a customer shoplifted. We want evidence. You're not tracking it, so I don't know. Analytics can do a lot, but evidence of shoplifting might be a little harder with the card. Let's go ahead and see what the issue is with the camera real quick. Get to see a little inside baseball right here. I'm going to pull up the Stream Deck and see why the Stream Deck's all mad right now. Stream Deck, why are you mad? Stream Deck's over here. Let's bring it over to the screen. Okay. So there's me. Camera green screened. Oh, there we go. Okay, now it's going to work. There we go. Hey, Morgan, good to see you here. We've almost got everything settled in the studio. We even got the second camera shot today. I'll show that really quickly right here. Second camera shot. So here's a bunch of normal curves and everything. We'll be working with the second camera shot. How's the video quality, everyone? Trying to get the video quality better on these cameras, but we can do a second camera shot now where I can talk to you and do some graphics. Need to get an eraser, but we can do some actual work on the boards. We got the normal curve here. I'm gonna try to draw nice and big and do some work right there. That's the second camera shot. Woohoo! Okay. Time for the second question right here. Also, we're gonna get more lighting in here, and that'll make the image even better. So much work. Thank you for everybody. Thank you everybody for helping out right here. We got a lot of people helping. Let's do the second question on the homework and talk about how to do it. Okay, I'm going to take a timestamp right here on the question. So you usually see me typing in the background. Chapter 1, homework, and this is the website. So if you noticed in the notes, there was a whole like who, what, when, where, why. Let's talk briefly about that because we really don't use it much on the test, but We'll go a little more detail on it. So the who is the individual or things being analyzed right here. That's what a who is. So when we collect data on students, students are the who's. The what is what we are measuring. Maybe we're seeing like their GPAs, their heights, their weight, like who is being analyzed. And I think one of the best ways to understand this is thinking about JUMP. So really the thing is the who's and the what's. So let me show you in JUMP what this looks like. I'm gonna go over here to JMP and let's go over to the student data right here. Open. So the who's and the what's, a little more detail on this. Okay, so if you look at this image right here, you'll notice rows and columns. So this is student data. What is the who's of this data? What is the who's of this data? What are the who's of this data? I know you can't see it right now. Oh, my Word document's opening. What is the who's of this data? This is student data. So the who's of this data is what? The who's, pull out my highlighter. These are the who's. Does that make sense? These are the who's. The who's are the students. And in a data set, the who's are the what's. In a data set, what are these things called right here? These things right here. Those are a what in a data set. So the who's are the things we collect data on, and each who is an individual. What do you call this in the matrix of a data frame? You would call those the what. I'll tell you what, it starts with an R. What do we call these? These are the what's of a data frame. The what's of a data frame. Trying to give a hint, not write it out fully. Each of these is one individual what. I'm spelling it out slowly. Very slowly. One partial. There's columns and there's also what? I only have a few students watching right now, so. Columns and rows. Yeah, there you go, Cameron. Let me throw you some points. Cameron will give everyone 100 points. Cameron and Morgan get 100 points right there. Big points right here. You getting great job. Lucas getting the points also. Rows and also columns. So if the who's are the rows, then the columns so would be the what's. And I think this pen for some reason, maybe you can only write for a moment, but it seems to cut out for a moment. It's pretty good otherwise, and I have to keep plugged in, which is a bummer. We're working on this. The columns would be the what. I'm kind of saying it. So if the who's are the rows, then the columns would be the what. I'm kind of asking it as a question, but I'm also saying the answer. So if the who's are the rows, then what would the columns be? They'd be the what. Great job, Morgan, right there. We throw some more points. So you think about this data set right here, and you'll notice that in this data set, you can see what was collected on, great job, Cameron, right there, the what. We have that we collected on their gender, their age, born in Tennessee, relationship status, all these different things right here were collected on students. So we have who was collected on students, and we have what was collected about them, these different variables. So the columns are also the variables. Let's add that in right here. So you can also call these variables. Ay, ay, ay. The pen cuts out. So variables. So now let's go over to the question and see if we can answer the question itself. So we have right here on my Pearson, the question, we'll get the homework done. We got this website here, nobelpeaceprize.org, and they're collecting odds there listed in a table rather than dragging a slider to the year and seeing a list of awardees. Describe the who in the scenario. So this is going to be, is it the ages of people who have been awarded, the years in which Nobel Peace Prizes were awarded, the organization that awards Nobel Peace Prize, the people who have been awarded a Nobel Peace Prize from the organization, the categories in which Nobel Peace Prizes are awarded. So which of those sounds like the right answer? It says awarded in any year. So it allows you to look up all Nobel Prizes awarded. The people award, because it should be, It allows you to look up all Nobel Prizes awarded. So who are we interested in? And think about this, then what could we see? We could see what it was in. We could see like, we could see what country they're from. So that would be the what's about these. Does that make sense? Like who was awarded is the who, and the what's would be what country, what area, what year. So the year is more of a what right here, like what year did they get the Nobel Peace Prize? Easy one. Here, we'll do this. Got another what's question here. All these who, what, when, where, what's. So let's see, we got another what question. One of these days I'll learn to be able to see at a distance. One of these days, chapter 1, homework. And we have the coffee shop. So you got a coffee shop down the street and they want to know some who, what, when, where, whys about you. The coffee shop next to a university gets data on their potential customers. They want to know where you live, whether you stay at the library, and your weekly food budget. So which is not a following what? Oh no, I wrote that's awesome. You'll see me like, I always tell people bring the computer closer and I'll have to be like this next to it. You see it all the time. The coffee shop is not a what? Morgan on track right there. Boom, getting all the points. A lot of points during office hours. RotoWave can tell you that. I'm gonna go out on a limb here and make Lucas a mod and make Morgan a mod. There we go, we got Lucas and Morgan as mods. There we go, W Morgan right there. Good stuff in the chat. Next question is, that's it. How's everyone feeling about this homework? Should be easy hundreds. You're welcome, Morgan. Great job right there. We're just here to have fun and do work. Brian has to look at a distance to see the timestamps. That's our new song. The Postal Service. Good band right there. It's lead singer of Death Cab for Cutie, I think. So with this, let's take a look at the question. The question says, the Postal Service uses 5-digit zip codes to identify the locations of somebody's mailing address. In what sense are zip codes categorical? So it's really great right here. If we go to zip code map, you can kind of see this. There's something really interesting with zip codes. And let's take a look right here. We're going to copy this image, bring it over here to Microsoft Word, and let's take a look at them. Now here's the thing about zip codes. No more points. RotoWave. Oh yeah, I got to reset them between semesters. Oh, we're not even doing online points with the 320s. RotoWave, I could give you more points. I'm so sorry, RotoWave. I'll give you some more points. We'll get to another level. Love that RotoWave is here. So, and I'll see you in class on Thursday. So, and you can swing to office hours today. We're actually in person, you know. So look at this right here and notice that the zip codes are kind of grouped together from what to what. Oh, not your points, just semester to semester. Zip codes kind of go from what to what. Start over here at the furthest point, which I can barely reach, and then go over here. Interestingly, they go state to state, but there's also a little bit of like east to west, right? And it's not so much state to state. If you look, Tennessee's in the 37916, and then you got like 27 something over there, and oh yeah, yeah, it is a little state to state, but it's like a region. It's weird, right? Like, why did we do it this way? I don't know. I don't understand. Oh, so you were over here. Oh, you're a little north. Were you in Michigan or somewhere, Cameron? I love all the emojis in the chat. So imagine starting like 0, like zip code 00001 or something, Michigan up here, right? Is that Michigan? Maybe. Or is that? No, that's Michigan right there, right? That's Michigan. I don't know. I used to know the states really well. That's Texas, that's Oklahoma. That's Kentucky right there. So the mitten, little mitten. Oh, it is a mitten. Mitten, Michigan mitten. So yeah, there you go. And so with that, let's go right here. Got a little New York, Pennsylvania up there. I'm bad at states. I don't teach geography. That's not what I do. I teach statistics. So each zip code corresponds to a geographical region. It's pretty true right there. And it's also not a quantity of zip code. The values of zip code are text. No, they're not text. And the values tell you which category the particular case falls into. No. Zip codes can be used to measure distances between locations. No, that would mean it's quantitative. This would be a quantitative measure of distance. There's exactly as many values of zip codes as there are cases. That would make zip code a what? If there are exactly, like, if everyone had their own unique zip code would be a what? It would be a special type of categorical variable. So if there was exactly as many types of zip codes as there are people, it would be an identifier. Great job, Morgan, right there. So this is wrong because it's saying like it's an identifier. This is wrong because it's saying it's quantitative. There's no text, so it is each zip code corresponds to a geographical region, and we can see that right here with the picture. There we go, that's the answer to the question. Okay, we got one more and we'll be done, and then we could do the homework. Start doing some of the homework, or what do people want to do next? You get to pick what to do with office hours. You can just say, tag me and say, hey Brian, let's do this, but we're just bebopping along, getting things done, and that's what we do. Great job right there, Lucas, with identifier. That is when each one is unique, special case categorical variable. Sometimes I call it the third variable. So a pharmaceutical company, let's take a look at this. Pharmaceutical. Here we go. A pharmaceutical company conducts an experiment in which they take 100 milligrams of a substance orally. Oh, they're not taking it through the vein. I don't know where veins are at. In your arm, that's your vein. Don't teach physiology. Orally, so take 100 milligrams of substance. The researchers measure how many hours it takes for 1/4 of that substance to exit the bloodstream. What kind of variable is the company studying? So just come up with an answer to the question to how long it took for this to go through someone's bloodstream. Just come up with a fake answer. You're welcome, Hannah. Come up with a fake answer. Put it in the chat, a fake answer. And the answer usually gives away what the variable type is. So pretend we measured this and we take the first point of data on somebody. 24 hours. So that means it's definitely what? 24 hours. 6 minutes. Woo! Some major variation in the data right here already. So can you take differences mathematical between those? Cameron knows it's quantitative right there. Quantitative data is actual real numbers. So when you have quantitative data, 100 hours right there, so we got some big differences. And when you have quantitative data, you can take differences between the numbers, and the differences are meaningful. That differs from using things like male, female, where male is 1 and female is 2. You could say, but Brian, male and female as 1 and 2 are numbers. But I say but it doesn't mean a quantitative difference. If something is quantitative, the numbers actually have a true meaningful difference. On top of that, let's notice here that there is ordinal. Ordinal is a special type of what variable? So this is a review right here. If you've already had your class and you're doing this, you want to know what ordinal is from the top of your memory like this. To be like, ordinal is a special case categorical variable. And I wasn't pulling up images last time. State preference. If we go to state preference right here, this should have an even, oh, this one has it. Oh my gosh. Okay, check this out. Man, look at that. So here's state preference. All the way from blue rare to well done. Well, well done shouldn't have any pink through the middle, or I guess hockey puck is next. But here we are, people's preferences. A lot of people going medium rare, medium then. It's interesting, medium, usually there's this thing towards the middle, and this is an ordinal variable here. How do you like your steak cooked? I might reverse myself. I don't know. I'm not used to pointing this way, even though the screen's over there. I'm used to pointing over here. So ordinal categorical variables. So this is categorical. How do you want your steak cooked? You might say, but these are numbers right here. You know what? I'm going to do it right now, everybody. I'm going to reverse the screen because I'm too used to pointing to the other side. But if I reverse it, I'd have to be on the other side of the screen. I think I have to point this way. I have to learn. I have to learn to point at that screen, to point over there. I call it congratulation after well. Congratulations. What's that? Oh, I'm so not used to pointing at that. I just pointed at that screen. Okay, I'm gonna have to get used to this. Anyways, this is an ordinal categorical variable as Brian slowly learns his new tech. And quantitative variable is actual real numbers. Identifiers are special case categorical variables like social security number, student identification number, things that cannot, will not repeat. Categorical variable is a global term for anything that's in groups. Make sure to know these terminologies and be able to come up with examples of them. So once again, you see in the notes right here, we have the different types of variables, whether it be categorical, which puts things into groups, ordinal, which means the variable has been ordered. And I did mention in our class, if it's not ordinal for 100 points, it would be called what? If it's not ordinal, it would be called what? So it's not called ordinal. Nominal, great job right there, 100 points. So if it's not ordinal, it's called nominal, and it's just a subtype. And I guess identifiers are technically subtypes too. That's why it says 2 variables. I put 2, maybe 3 variable types in the notes. But I like to say that identifiers are their own kind of thing. And nominal, remember, and this is the easy way to remember it, nominal has no order to it. So when you think nominal, think no. And when you think ordinal, think ordered. Identifiers, once again, are unique. So the key thing about an identifier is it must be unique. So you've kind of got the key things marked for you right here to help remember that ordinals have an order to them, nominals have no order to them, and identifiers are unique for each and every instance. Okay, going back here. Well, we should have 100 on the homework. Does anyone want to do the quiz and try to get 100 on the quiz? Whichever question you're working on, you should be able to get the quiz done right now, the homework done, all this before class right here. What do people say? It's your choice. Oh, which one are you working on, Morgan? Just feel free to mention which thing you're working on, and we can do that. Let's do the homework. I might start wearing glasses, everybody, because my eyes, it's so hard to see things from a distance right now. So hard. I guess I've always said that way. Number 2. So here's the thing. And I'll say this, here we'll head over to the main screen. Now the music's playing, but it's not really playing. Go ahead. It's picking up through my mic. So everyone gets different questions. So everyone has to tell me which question they're working on. I still don't understand the system. Go ahead and tell me the start of the question you're working on, Morgan. Something's up with the routing. So if you tell me the very start of the question, because everyone actually has different questions on the homework. Okay, good deal. It'll have like, like students are trying to analyze or a pharmaceutical company, because everyone gets different questions. So if you can tell me the very start of it, I'll get that question going. I'll show you over here. I'll show you the secret of it all. Check this out. Here's all the questions you could have. A medical researcher. So these are all the different questions you could have right here. This is everything you could get selected from. So I have to go through here and find the very specific one. So question 2 should be one of these. You see it has a group right here where it has like 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. This looks like medical. No, it's gonna be this one, is it? So medical researcher. Probably is this one. Boom. Oh wait, this is not it, right? It starts with a medical researcher. Nora? If you see it, tell me the number. I am so confused. Do you see the number? It starts with a medical researcher, does it? What does that mean? Am I old? I don't know. I don't know the lingo anymore. I don't know the fun. Okay. It starts with a medical researcher though. Boom. Is it this one? Heart increase 1? The heart rate? Okay. So a medical researcher measures the increase in heart rate. Okay, let's take the note on this so people can come back to this. And let's talk about how to solve it. So we are at 3253, chapter 1 quiz. A medical researcher. So I want you to collect the data on this. You are going to collect data doing a stress test. Australians say it. And I want you to pretend you're giving someone a stress test. What was the increase of their heart rate? You're going to collect the data here. You've been tasked to collect it. And they say, okay, we want you to mark down for individual one. Now I know it didn't happen in front of you, but I want you to pretend that it just happened and you collected the data. What was the increase to heart rate? What was it? Just mark it down on your sheet. So you just saw it. What did you see? What did you mark as the increase in heart rate? What did you see? So pretend you're collecting the data. You're collecting data on increase in heart rate. So what was 7 beats per minute? Okay, the next, oh, great job, Morgan, right there. So Cameron measured a 20 increase. So what do these numbers sound like to you? What do these numbers sound like? That's a hint right there. Does it sound like categories like low, medium, high? Does it sound like ordinal, like low, medium, high is also an ordinal categorical variable? Does it sound like identifiers where each one is unique and categorical variable technically? Or does it sound like quantitative where we can take real meaningful differences? And the answer is quantitative. Let's do another one. If you notice, this is the practice. We want to know all of these terms. So you want to know a definition for each one of these, like categorical variables put things into group. Ordinal and nominal are special kinds, also identifier. Ordinal is a categorical variable that has order, like stake preference from medium or rare to well done. Quantitative is actual real numbers where we can do mathematical differences. And identifiers are categorical variables, special case categorical variables that are unique for every instance, like social security number. So always have an example and always be able to explain a definition of what these things are. And that's where you understand the material really well. What else should we do? Another question. Which one should we do? Your choice, your pick. The satellite one. Satellite. I thought I saw it. In my eyes, like a diamond. No one knows that song anymore. In the early 2000s, that was like everyone's favorite song. You'd be like, oh, my parents loved that song. That was like their high school graduation song. I shouldn't make jokes because that might be true. If you see the satellite one, let me know. I am probably going to wear glasses on streaming days. You're going to see me wearing glasses for the rest of the semester. Pod. Oh, there's a pod one? Here it is. Here's the satellite one. Oh my gosh. What are you doing to me, eyes? Satellites. This is so much reading. What do we say about reading, Lucas? Is it Lucas or no, Cameron? We're not a big fan of reading, right? And they want us to read all this. Satellites send back nearly continuous data on the Earth's land masses. It's cringe. Cap right there. No, the cap's of his line, right? Oceans and atmosphere from space. How might researchers use this information in both the short and the long term to help study changes in the Earth's climate? Now, I don't love these questions because this is a very subjective question. It's kind of getting you in the mood for data, being like, I like data. Data's awesome. We can do so much with it. Doesn't really translate to test knowledge well. So let's kind of, I might not have much to say on this. So in the short term, researchers can add more features to satellites. They're probably not looking to do that. In the short term, researchers can manipulate no, they can't manipulate land masses. I mean, we don't have that technology yet. In the short term, researchers can accurately predict natural disasters, probably. In the long term, the function of these satellites can be expanded to include measurements regarding the climate on the moon and Mars. Okay, that sounds possible. In the short term, researchers can more accurately predict weather patterns, okay, including hurricanes and tsunamis. In the long term, this rise and fall of temperature and water levels can help in planning for future problems and guide public policy. I think that's what they want us to say. Yeah, there's another one on here. That was it. Was that all it was? Check answer. Yeah. Not the like I said, I'll slow down and I'll go over more in-depth questions that are more pertinent to your learning and the objectives of this chapter. This is once again, data is awesome. We can do a lot with it, but not too much beyond that. And then was there another one? Was it POD? Is there one on that? Name another question. We're just knocking out questions left and right. What other questions should we do? I'll tell people during class, they'll be like, we got a lot done during office hours. Just whichever one you're working on, you can get a full explanation of the problem. We'll walk through it and I'll tell you all the concepts behind it that apply to the test. So that's a big reason to come to office hours, because I'm not just going to say the answer. I'm going to walk through like, here's the other answers and why they're wrong. So not a big learning objective in this one. Here, we'll just pick a random question, 21. Okay, weekly food budget. So the best way to do this question right here is to not look at the answer. What are possible answers to this question? So don't look at the answers. We're talking about how to do this question at the top level. It wants to know what kind of variable it is. So what kind of variables are there? So I want you to name some of the possibilities that could be the answer. Don't click this. So don't click it. Think about what it could give you as answers, and then you've memorized the types of the variables. So think about what the possible answers are for what variable type is it. Remember, we're not going to click it. We're going to think over what are the possible answers. Quantitative, categorical, identifier, great job right there. And then you could go to the subtypes. Quantitative technically has what is called continuous and discrete. So let's show that right here real quick. Once again, I said these things are like a little lecture and a little, there's an ordinal categorical. So quantitative has in it continuous. I'm gonna misspell this word too. I don't know how to spell anything. Quantitative, really? Quantitative, there we go. I'll just slow down and spell it right. Continuous and discrete. Continuous is whole numbers. Oh no, excuse me. Can have fractions like slices of pizza eaten. Discrete is going to be only whole numbers, number of pets owned. These are examples next to it. Next we have categorical, and this puts in groups. And let's go up here. Actual real numbers, meaningful differences with meaningful differences. And whoop, there we go. Puts into groups. We have here ordinal and ordinal, there we go. Has inherent order to the groups, stake preference, and really, I don't want it to wrap the screen. There we go. And then we have nominal, and no inherent order to the groups. Man, predicted is getting crazy. State born in, and then identifier is going to be unique for each data point, each and every observation. So it definitely can these days. A little predictive analytics is getting a little bit scary right there. So the main things to know right there, and I do usually call identifier the third type. That's why you hear me say it's a third type. But you want to definitely know quantitative and categorical. So quantitative and categorical are the big two. And then in that, you probably want to know identifier is unique for each and every observation. So the unique part about it is key right there. We'll bold and underline that. Ordinal, remember, does have order to it. And so there's an order. There's the key memorization there. Nominal has no order to it. So when you think nominal, think no order, no order. Discrete, that one might be a little bit harder, but continuous, if you think about a number line, with a continuous number line, you have numbers going from like 0 to 100, where it can be like 0.1, 0.2, 0.3. Like, how many slices of pizza did you eat? 2.5. How many bunnies do you own? 2. It's gonna sound weird if I say 2.5. You'd be like, that's not really a good answer for how many bunnies do you own, or a really plausible answer. So we have discrete, where it's just whole numbers. You can't have fractions with discrete quantitative data. So this is obviously how much money do you spend. Be very, very specific. How much is your weekly food budget? I want 2 words for this because we kind of went more in depth. I want 2 words for your weekly food budget. So you have to think of the 2 words that apply to this. The 2 words that apply to this. So we're being very specific. We're going to like a subtype of the variable. So I could say like our weekly food budget for me and my wife is about $212.05 or something. If you notice, I kind of made it clear, quantitative, continuous, perfect answer, camera right there. And that's still quantitative. It's just like within quantitative, we can say a variable is continuous. Like it can be any number across the number line. So that right there is going to be quantitative, and boom. Notice we went a lot more in depth, and that's kind of the key, because that was like 10, 15 minutes of the lecture. Just review, review, review. So you know quantitative, categorical, independent, or oh my gosh, identifier. Does anyone have another question, or should I select another one at random? You can pick any question. Oh, the Ian Walker one, that's the one. Someone said the name Ian Walker, and there it is right there. Can you do the Ian Walker one? You got it. Thank you for asking again. I was like, why is someone saying Ian Walker in the chat? I was like, who's Ian Walker? I know Eddie Walker. Eddie Walker, this is your life. You never had a son or a wife. Should have had a heck of a time. No one says so. Okay, so with this right here, Ian Walker, he's a biker guy. He gets on his bike. We'll draw him out right here. We're talking about the question. Here he is. This is some Stat Tool 1 drawing right here. And he's wearing his helmet. Now we gotta do the animation. We've got cars right here. The pen seems to, every 2 seconds, cut out. Okay, so he is on his bike, wearing his helmet. Oh, Ian, dude, what are you doing? Put your helmet back on. Oh, Here we go. So he is seeing how close cars come to him. So he's riding his bike along here, and he's watching the distance at which cars pass him. This is a who, what, when, where, why about this question. We should get it right. There's one tricky part on it, but we'll look for consistency towards the end. But what he notices is when he's wearing his helmet, cars seem to be a little bit closer. Because think about this, if you saw someone riding through traffic without a helmet on, what might you be? So now this is Ian right here riding through traffic without his helmet on, and the car's like, oh gosh, what am I doing? They're like, oh, I just got through right here. He's actually, which is counterintuitive that cars would be closer to you. They're more cautious. They're like, we got to stay away from this guy right here. So that's what he's doing with his analysis right here. And you can see the analysis of what he did out of 2,500 cars. People were closer to him when he had his helmet off. His head was bare right there. Source, New York Times. So this is an actual real study. Cool that they do that. Who is the who in this study? So you have to think about each row of data. So he would collect a row of data when what? So we talked about this way earlier. He would have a row of data when. When would he get a row of data? Each time what? How would he collect one row of data? Each time a car passes him, he's going to collect one instance of data. Does that make sense? So the who is what we are collecting data on. Every time a car passes him, he's going to collect data. So that's going to be a data point right there. The whats are the variables he collects on. So each instance of a car passing him is a who. Next, we have the what. And I think there's only one what, so they're trying to trick you here. I hate when they do a multi-select, but there's only one answer. So what is he measuring? Remember, the whats are the variables. So if you look over here at our cheat sheet, a what is a column in a data frame, and it's a variable. So what is the what of this? What is he collecting on? He's measuring, remember we talked about just a second ago? He's measuring what is he measuring? And I'll show you right here, the distance the cars are away from him. That is what he's interested in analyzing. So the what is the what are we trying to understand? So this is the what right here. And the who is going to be each time a car passes him. So there's the who over there. So the who is each car that passes him. And then the what is going to be the distance at which it passes him. Hope these amazing visuals help out. Statue and graphics. The what is the distance at which it passes him. Identify the population of interest. Now be careful. We need a definition for population here to make sure we get the answer right. So before we answer, someone might answer, it's all right. And let me throw you some points. Really great job following along, Hannah, Morgan, and Cameron. The what, or the population is what? What is a population? And we sometimes call it population of interest. So you can get this one wrong if you select the wrong idea for it, because the population has a very important definition for it. So look at your notes. Remember what the population is. And what is a population? People think it's D. You might be right, Cameron. The population is every single thing we want to understand. Does that make sense? The population is every single thing we want to understand. So do we want to understand, is the point of the study to understand all bicyclists who ride on roads with cars? No, that's not the point. Is the point to understand all the cars which pass the researcher on the bike? This is the what. Answer B, all the cars that pass the researcher on the bike was the what of this study. So think of the answer to this. All the cars that pass the researcher was the what of this study. So every single car, and I don't know is a fine answer, but all the cars that pass the researcher, which is 2,500, is the what of this study. All the cars that pass the researcher. I think we properly identified the population of interest, all the cars that pass bicyclists, but all the cars that pass the researcher wouldn't be the population. It'd be the subset of the population that we collect data on, and that'd be the sample. Does that make sense? That is the sample. Now, all the cars who drive on the road, that's kind of, but we're interested in, and I'm pretty sure all drivers when they pass bicyclists, because then to think about it, we're collecting data on when people pass, because it's not the cars. The interest here is the idea of somebody passing somebody. We should get it all correct. I'm always a tiny bit worried because it's kind of cars on the road, but it's more that. Oh, I was trying to submit the quiz. Check answer, should be right, 100%. You know what's funny? It's funny if you watch the whole video, we only missed one question so far, and it was the very first question where it was a little subjective. I was like, I just missed one question. A little fun. So does that make sense right there? All the cars, when they pass, the researcher is the sample, because that's what we collected data on. That's your subset of the population. And then all the drivers, when they pass bicyclists, which would probably never have that data, that's the population of interest. We wish we understood how people pass bicyclists, so we take a subset of that, which is a sample. So good review of those words, population and sample. And I wish they went into a little more depth, because you can see back here where we talk about population sample. So here's an issue, and I got the calculator going. You're welcome, and ask another one. We still got a little more time right here. I don't think we have class until, I'll take a break and probably grab some lunch, but online at 11:20, so we will probably end close to time. Think about this. He did his study in England. So is it representative? Well, it's probably representative of places in England, but did you do it in a large town? Did you get 100 on the quiz, Morgan? You're always free to say grades here. You don't have to answer if I say, did you get 100, because it's your call. But I'm hoping people get hundreds here. I'm hoping a lot of, yes, I got 100, 100, 100, 100. That's what we try to do. We try to get hundreds. So what other questions are there? Probably enough time for at least one or two more. You did. Let's give you 100 points again right there. Show up to office hours, get those hundreds. And you can always just swing by and say, hey, Brian, I'm working on this one. And also, I do timestamp all these. So if you didn't get your question in or you missed office hours, you can always come back and see the timestamps on the questions. So you can always just watch later. But being here live, you get to ask your questions. Oh, thank you, Morgan. Yeah, just show up to any office hours and be like, hey, Brian, do this question, or you could email me or post it on Discord. I might even have videos over them, but here we get to do it live and I get to interact, which is more fun than watching past videos, because I used to interact with past students. Well, thank you, Morgan, that's awesome right there. I've been working with all the tech stuff, getting it working, and things have been like breaking sometimes. I'm like, no. I'll pick one at random. Let's pick question number 7. Might be easy or something. Oh man, it's a long question. Let's do it. Let's do the long question right here. I'm gonna mark it in the notes, and then we'll get it done. Chapter 1 quiz. This is a research center. Okay, let's take a look. A research center conducts an extensive study consisting of an interview and medical examination with a representative sample of about 5,000 people a year. That's their sample. Interview includes demographics, socioeconomical, dietary, and other health-related questions. This examination, or the examination, consists of medical, dental, physiological measurements, as well as laboratory tests administered by a highly trained medical professional. Describe the sample, the population, the who, and the what of the study. Oh my gosh, okay. The sample is the data they collect on. So their sample is the 5,000 people a year. The population would be everything they're interested in. So the population is all people. That sounds about right. The sample is the 5,000 people each year that partake in the study. Do they want to understand all people? The population is all the employees at the research center. No, they don't want to understand all the people at the research center. Say similar. No, this is wrong. There'd be a census. They don't want to understand the 5,000. The population is 5,000. No, the sample is never. No. The population is all people. They want to understand people, it sounds like, as far as I can tell, because they never said we want to understand like students or anything like that. The who is who they're collecting data on. The what is what they're collecting data on for those people. Once again, we did this graphic today showing whos are the rows and whats are the columns. So a little more depth right there. So when we describe this right here, the who is going to be people. And the what's might be answer 1. So it's right here. The who is the selected subjects. The what is the survey. Sounds about right. I think B, the who is the selected subjects. The what includes medical, dental, physiological measurements, and laboratory test results. That is really good right there. The survey, I hate when they do this. Let's check answers right here. We did it. 100 points. Great job, Cameron. You got it before me. I didn't even read B yet. But getting those points right there in the chat, great work. I mean, that's kind of the survey, right? I was like, this sounds right for the who. That's who they collected data on. Then the what's right there is pretty much the survey. So come on, my Pearson. You can't do the survey right there and then put the answer right here. Little tricky. Probably if you emailed me and said, hey, Brian, I feel like I should get the points back on that, I'd probably give them back for that, because that is a little tricky right there. Let's do one more, then we're going to take a break and get ready for class. How about, does anyone have pick a number, any number, at least if we haven't done it? Well, we've done a good bit of this. One more number to get it done. Which number? Lucky number 3. Lucky number 3, here we go. Okay, ooh, this one's a little tricky, I think. So sensors in a parking garage. It's like how they can optimize it. So 54, 23, chapter 1 quiz. Sensors in parking. Sensors in parking lots are able to detect and communicate when spaces are filled in a large covered parking garage next to an urban shopping mall. How might the owners of the parking garage use this information to both attract customers and help the store owners in the mall make business plans? So when you think about this, the owners of the parking garage can alert shopping mall customers if their car has been moved. It's not increasing sales, really. That's just communicating with customers. The owners of the parking garage can advertise about the availability of parking. They can also communicate with businesses about the hours when more spots are available and when they should encourage more business. That sounds good. The owners of the parking garage can raise prices. That's not going to encourage. That's just going to make them money. The owners of the parking garage can invest in a larger garage based on, no. The increased capacity will lead to increased sales. No. Because how might the owners of the parking garage use this information to attract customers? Yeah, they can advertise. That would attract. And help store owners make business plans. Yeah. So notice that's in line with what they want. I don't see a really good corollary to the test with this question. It's just about collecting data is cool. That's the point of this question. Like, oh, you can collect data on a lot of stuff. Well, that's what I'll do. You'll see me do a question a little bit quickly if it's not a big learning objective. I'm like, this one's easy right here. We'll just knock it out. So something like Republican, Democrat, Independent is a what. Kind of want 2 words for this to show you really know it. Republican, Democrat, Independent is a what kind of variable. I want 2 words to show you really know the answer. It won't be on the screen. Is it ordinal? Is it ordinal? Is it? I get where you're going, because very liberal to very conservative is ordinal. But Republican, Democrat, Independent, other, no response. Does that really have an inherent order? Could I have said Independent, Democrat, Republican, other? It's nominal categorical. And great job. We're throwing another 100 points. Don't worry about wrong answers here. We get practice. So something like very conservative to very liberal, that is ordinal, because it would go from like very conservative, conservative, moderate, liberal, very liberal. But something like no response, or I can see it be the other, either way. Well, since this one has things like independent and other, there's really no inherent order to it. There's not like a right versus left. There's like right, left, which is ordered. And then there's like no response to the question, outside the bounds of the question, or independent, not registering with those other groups. So good question right here. And this is just categorical, which technically these are 2 subtypes of it, and technically it's ordinal. I mean, nominal. But good work right there. Of February. Devastated, no. Well, everybody, great work. I did a cool intro to start. You'll get to see the intro for today's class right here. So let me throw up the exit screen, but we'll make it the intro screen. Bye for now, everyone. Bye. Great job, everybody. See you real soon. Bye.